Be careful! Don't touch it. It's venomous. Do you see these spines? They have urticating toxins that make predators that want to eat this caterpillar think twice. And guess what kind of moth it will become? Oh, just one of the cutest that ever existed. That's right, today in our new episode of MothCycles. Automeris IO. Automeris IO, the IO moth, is a very charming little silk moth from America. It is found from Mexico to most of the United States and Canada. The most prominent feature are the brightly colored and conspicuous eye spots on their hindwings that give onlookers the impression that they are being watched. It is perhaps also one of the most widespread and common species of Saturniidae in North America because of their adaptability. Automeris IO can survive in a broader range of climates and host plants. The females are brown and the males are bright yellow. These are my eggs of Automeris IO. Can you see the black dots? This is called the micropyle. Only fertilized eggs eventually develop this black dot. The micropyle, apart from respiration and all forms of gaseous exchanges happening in the egg, it is also the location where the sperm cells enter the egg when it gets fertilized. Not all moth species develop a black dot when the eggs are fertile, however, some of them do. I was a little bit lazy this time and just sprinkled my eggs of Automeris IO in a small plastic container. The eggs of the IO moth will hatch in 2 to 3 weeks time on room temperature. There we go, babies! How cute! After hatching, the caterpillars will not eat right away. Instead, they wait for their brothers and sisters to hatch and begin to travel in groups and settle on a leaf that they will start feeding on in about 12 to 24 hours after hatching. In captivity, the eggs are easily hatched on room temperature in a petri dish or a plastic box. I use these awkward kind of plastic boxes, which are perhaps a little bit too big, but it works anyways. And here are the babies. Aren't they super cute? Interesting is that this species feeds and travels in groups. Staying together gives them group protection. For a caterpillar, they are quite social. Social behavior in caterpillars is also called gregarious behavior. As you can see, I also made a thick layer of moisture-absorbing paper towels to keep the humidity levels down, since plants expel moisture inside plastic boxes. The plant I'm raising them on in this clip is privet or ligustrum. And then they shed their skins to the second instar. The second instar is a bit more plump and grey. Can you see the difference? Currently you're looking at second instars feeding on a mix of cherry, willow and privet. Now at this point I was still keeping them inside the small plastic container, but eventually they shed their skin to instar number 3. Yep, but first an upgrade. Now, if I'm being a little honest here, I think these caterpillars are growing a little bit too big to be inside a plastic box like this. And if I keep them like this, eventually they're going to die. Because big caterpillars need a lot of space and ventilation. Small caterpillars are fine in plastic boxes, but big caterpillars don't really grow well in it. So it's important for me to remove them today. I'm going to put them inside a new box. This is what I got, a fauna box. This is for reptiles, for snakes, for spiders, but also for other invertebrates. So here I have a can of Red Bull, but it's filled with water, not with Red Bull. First I'm going to put down a layer of paper towel at the bottom. I like doing this. It's very good for absorbing moisture, makes it easier to clean, so they won't make stains. There you go. So you have a can of Red Bull. It's filled with water, not with energy drink. So I'm gonna put some of their houseplant inside, and the water will keep it fresh. Let's see. Give me 1 second, guys. Yes, I found a big nice branch here. There you go. This is ligustrum, it's probably more than enough. So it's an exaggeration, probably I should break it into pieces, I think. Otherwise it's going to be too much. So there you go. So this is privet, ligustrum. There you go, that should hold up good. I'm also going to add some laurel cherry. I don't know if they're going to eat this, but it's important to give Automeris a variety of food that they can select from. Oops. Now I also need to close the opening. Otherwise they're going to walk inside the can and drown. So there must be no contact with the water. Just what I do is I just jam some paper towel in there. There you go. So now the caterpillars cannot walk inside it. This here, you can see up close, Red Bull can filled with water, house plant. This will stay fresh for about a week. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it inside. There you go. This should be perfect in my opinion. Let's take the camera so you can show you the setup. Take this box here. There you go. So the water is going to keep the branches and the leaves fresh for me. So the next thing is I gotta take these caterpillars here, put them inside. Guess I'll just take the branches here. I don't need to remove the caterpillars, they'll find their own way when they're hungry. So let's take a look at this. Oh wow, some beautiful green caterpillars. I see some of them are getting their colors. It's probably hard to see what you're looking at right now, but it's okay. It's an important moment, so it's more important for me to do this right and get good images of it. I know that sucks for you, my viewers, but the important thing is I'm transferring these caterpillars by taking the branches they are sitting on. See? All these caterpillars in here and this old dried willow. Take them, place them inside their new container where they are free to do what they want. Alright. So this is where they are now. Guess it's better to leave them alone right now for a day to get them habituated to their new container. Don't want to scare them too much. Yeah, that's my sock. For some reason I'm in my socks in all my videos. So this is it. Room temperature is fine really. It's a really strong species in captivity. We already did the hardest part. It was raising the young caterpillars. The young ones can be sensitive. Especially finding the right host plant can be difficult because you know, Automeris IO, it has a huge range in North America, even up to Mexico. So they are found in subtropical Florida, from actually very cold and temperate Canada to the deserts of Texas. And all these places, they prefer different plants. So not many people know this, but to me, from observations in captivity, it appears that different Automeris IO strains prefer different host plants. And now I'm feeding them on willow and ligustrum, but I've had these moths before. In some cases they refuse both willow and ligustrum. In some cases they love it. And I think there's many broods in America that all love to eat different plants, in my opinion. That can be difficult. So if you live in America and you breed them, use local plants. If it's a local population, it will be easy. If you imported them from somewhere else, it could be difficult. And now they're in a bigger space. Let's show you instar number 3 and 4. Instar number 3 is grayish, but in instar number 4 they turn green, or sometimes even yellow, but most of the time green, since the yellow form is more rare and localized. I eventually added Prunus laurocerasus, or laurel cherry, to the food plant options. Rearing was quite straightforward, to be honest, and there isn't much to say. It's also winter. I don't have the perfect food plants for them right now. Would have preferred to use oak and beech for these guys, but it's winter, so I have to use laurel cherries, privet, etc. But no, it's not bad. It's not bad. So, eventually, they shed their skins to instar number 5 using the same setup. In instar number 4 and 5, the larvae lose their social behaviors and disperse to live a solitary lifestyle. They stop living in groups and now want more space for themselves. Make sure not to overcrowd them. If a species goes from social to solitary, they suddenly require more space per caterpillar than they did when they were social. Despite that, the species is still very resistant to living in high densities. The 5th instar is green, or more rarely from southern populations, yellow, and with a red and white stripe that runs along the side of their bodies. The caterpillars become fully grown in about 2 to 3 months' time, potentially faster if kept warmer. The caterpillars of Automeris io are mildly venomous, and touching them may inflict a sting. Despite this, the sting is quite mild and not considered to be very harmful. The stinging sensation quickly disappears after 5 to 10 minutes, leaving sore or itchy skin. It's almost the same as a stinging nettle. The only people who should be careful with the caterpillars are people with allergies. However, the sting of Automeris io is quite mild compared to that some of the tropical species of Automeris that can be more fierce. When they are fully grown, the larva will spin a thin, papery cocoon, usually among the leaves of the food plant, or on the litter on the floor. Before spinning cocoons, caterpillars will wander for quite a long time, up to a full day, before choosing the perfect place to make a cocoon, sometimes quite far away from the host plants. Cocoons are often recorded in leaf litter on the forest floor, on tree bark, or between the leaves of the host plant. The cocoons of Automeris io do not seem to diapause in captivity if they are kept warm. I have successfully bred this species in multiple generations through the year, even in winter, despite livestock coming from places like Canada, where they only have 1 generation per year in the wild. While they undeniably use other cues to overwinter, such as day length and light intensity, It seems that no matter what, diapause is broken if they are kept warm continuously, unlike other silk moths from North America that need to experience a cold winter in order to break their diapause. Obligate diapause, that is. The diapause of Automeris io, however, appears to be mainly facultative. Depending on the season and geographical location, the cocoons will decide to hatch in a few months' time or overwinter. In the most southern warm localities, this species does not overwinter at all and has 3 to 4 generations in 1 year, while the environment in the most northern populations in cold localities only permits 1 generation per year, which results in them always overwintering as cocoons until the next spring, because of environmental circumstances. If you want to overwinter them, store them cold. In the wild, they can survive cold temperatures, up to -20 degrees Celsius in winter. Despite that, it's not recommended to continuously expose them to frost, and ideally they are overwintered outdoors in temperate areas or in a fridge around 5 degrees Celsius. Typically, the moths will begin to develop if the pupae are kept warm. And what you do next? That's my breath. It's cold. Look, I'm a dragon. Okay, let's stop. What you do next is you just put them outdoors. These guys are tough. They can handle cold. Okay, all right. They're not pussies. Let's see. Let's hide them here between this plastic here. This is, I think, a nice and sheltered spot for them. So here, let's here between the wall and some of this rubbish that I have in my garden shed. I think that they will be fine here in winter. Doesn't matter if it freezes, doesn't matter how cold it gets. They will survive this. Believe me, this is a tough species from even lives in Canada where it gets very cold in winter. They can surely survive. So let's wait a few months and then open them up. Now this segment seems short in my video, but in reality it was over 3 months' time. I overwintered my cocoons until spring came, and the conditions became a little bit warmer again. It may not seem like much, but this video actually cost me over 6 months to produce, including hibernation. Ah, finally! Spring has come. Now I can take my pupa back inside, in order to hatch them at room temperature. Finally. And now, the moth! Oh, so cute. This is the imago of Automeris Io. The males are yellow and the females are brown. Sadly, these moths only live for about 1 to 1.5 weeks. And the only thing they do is pair, lay eggs and die, as most Saturniidae do.
What's up everyone? Today I'm going to try and pair one of my favorite moth species. What I have here is the Io moth, scientific name Automeris Io, which is a very common silk moth from North America. Despite that, it's also one of my favorite species because of the beautiful yellow males and the awesome brown females. It's an awesome species to breed and study in captivity, although it's not family friendly because the caterpillars are toxic and can hurt a lot. So all of this hatched in one day. I have 1 female and 3 males, and they're all fresh, just came out of the cocoon. And I really hope that tonight they will be willing to pair for me and lay a lot of eggs. That would be awesome.
The main problem with pairing Automeris Io is that you will almost never see the pairing happen. These moths pair for about 30 minutes in total. That's not much, especially at night. So unless you are constantly watching them, it's very unlikely that you will literally see them pairing. So we have 1 female and 3 males, but that's good, because 1 female can lay about 200 eggs if we're lucky. We just need 1 pairing. So I'm just going to put her in this cage that you're looking at right now. Here, let me take the camera.
It looks like a dirty cage, I agree. It's had a lot of uses, but these moths don't care. Automeris Io, they only live for about a week and then they die. The moths cannot eat, they have no functional mouth parts. So this one is trying to fly away. Sorry, I'm capturing it. Let's put this one inside, because I don't want it escaping. Here, there you go. See it? It's trying to fly. Well, it was trying to, but I take no chances. This is really one of my favorites. They're awesome looking moths. Just look at those colors. Wow, they're so fluffy and cute. It's really one of my favorite silk moths in the world. So many people will say it's easy to breed, but actually I have bred it before, but not with a lot of success. Many of my caterpillars didn't survive and I only ended up with a few adults. And these fresh cocoons, which I imported from America, should make the difference. Oops. Yep, they're a little bit camera shy, I suppose. So let's put them inside the cage. As I've said before, the brown one here, the big one, is the female. What a lovely, wonderful moth. Gotta love those Automeris. Oops, see it? They're flying. Don't know if you can see it through the cage, probably not. But they're not going to fly a lot, it's a nocturnal species. The only reason they are flying now is because I am touching them. And that makes them panic a little, because they are not used to being touched, of course. So let's very gently, wow, look at that. I love this species, guys. You can hear it in my voice, I'm just excited to look at it. I'm really one of those persons that really doesn't care if a species is rare or not. So this is probably one of the most common silk moths in North America, together with the polyphemus moth. You can find it almost all of North America and parts of Central and South America too. So some people even think of them as pests, but I don't. They can eat a lot of plants, but we'll get to that later. So, whoop, there you go. So of course next we close the cage. Now you can, these moths are very easy to pair. You just keep them on room temperature, alright. Make sure there's some airflow, some ventilation. But most of the time they will also pair in a closed room. So just one important thing to keep in mind is don't put too many females together, it confuses the males. These moths don't see very well, and the only way they can find the female is by smell. Okay, so imagine that you had to locate a partner by smell. Now, if there's a lot of females in the same area, the whole room is going to smell like them, and they have no idea where to go. So, yep, let's check back tonight. Well, this is how I'm going to keep them tonight. In the dark. In a separate room on their own. Ignore the bird cage, I'm cleaning it for my pet. But that's literally how I'm going to leave them overnight, and I'm going to check back tomorrow. Okay guys, bye bye, have fun. Let's put you here under the table, so nobody is going to knock you off. So. Time to resume sitting at my computer all night.
A few moments later.
Perhaps it's better to see from this side. But that's what the pairing looks like. As you can see, the male and female are attached through their abdomens. So it was very easy, very straightforward. Automeris IO are usually really easy to pair. So I guess that male in particular has won. I hope the female will lay a lot of eggs for me that I will raise 2 moths now, so that's really great. Well, there you go, lad. That's a bloody pairing. See that?
Now the females of this moth lay eggs easily in captivity. They will scatter them all randomly over the walls of their cages. This female right here was even laying eggs on my fingers when I was holding her. Funny, isn't it? Anyways, it's easy to collect these eggs by hand. If they are fertile, they will show the typical black dot that I've talked about before. It's difficult to observe the pairing of Automeris IO since it only lasts for about 30 minutes or half an hour. But it is easy to see if the eggs are fertile or not. On room temperature, they hatch in 2 to 3 weeks time. One thing you can do is pair the moths outdoors if it's warm. Eventually the moths will die. They do not live for very long. In this video, I've shown you how I was raising them on laurel cherry and privet. Some of their favorite food plants include cherry, prunus, redbud, cercis, willow, salix, wisteria, sassafras, currant or ribes, hibiscus, but they've also been recorded on hickory or caria, poplar, populus, pear, pyrus, lime tree, tilia, elm, ulmus, fish poison tree, Piscidia piscipula, oaks, quercus, blackberry rubus, maple, acer, birch, betula, tulip tree, liriodendron, Gladicia, privet, ligustrum, ash, fraxinus, hazel, corylus, beech, fagus, corn, zea mais, bamboo, and many other poaceae grasses, coral bean, erythrina, hop, humulus lupulus, walnut, juglans, sweet gum, liquid amber, black locust, robinia, and many more species of deciduous trees and shrubs. More than could be possibly combined into one list. Sorry, I lost my words there. It was difficult to read all those houseplants for you. But I suspect there's over 100 species of potential food plants. This is a very adaptive and polyphagous species. The preferred temperature and humidity of Automeris IO is about 20 degrees Celsius or higher. Although they can survive colder temperatures, I do recommend keeping them warm to promote faster growth. One thing is important, ventilation. They don't like extreme humidity nor extreme dryness. A plastic container with holes in the lid like a fauna box works alright for them. you followed my instructions well, then you should be able to breed them too. If you live in America and know where to find some. If anyone is watching this video and it has spare eggs, I'm always interested in this species. I love raising this species from various locations in America to see the differences between populations, for example in Canada, Florida, Mexico, Arizona, etc. With plenty of eggs, you can start a life cycle again. Have fun! Appendix: Variations. And now to show you some weird variations that I've raised. When I did another generation, Automeris IO can have some interesting variations and mutations in captivity, which I will include in this appendix for
But
you
is it
to
a
enjoy
normal
today.
specimen? No, not entirely. The eye spots here on the hind wing are completely different looking from wild specimens. So this is the third moth that hatched from my Automeris IO breeding. And it's interesting to note that none of them look like anything they look like in the wild. I don't know if that's my fault, if I have an ability of raising weird mutant animals. But the thing is, the appearance of moths, they're highly adaptable animals, and unnatural temperatures, unnatural food plants, unnatural circumstances in captivity, it can alter their appearance a lot. And that's why in captivity sometimes, especially if there's a degree of recessive genes being expressed, you can see a lot of strange traits popping up that you don't see in the wild, which is amazing proof of how adaptable these animals are and how they have evolved over these millions of years to be so diverse and colorful. And the eye spots of this specimen are, again, have a very thick round edge, very dark. They're also much smaller than they're supposed to be in this species. And that just goes to show how many genetics there are that just code for their eye spots, that regulate their color, their size and shape. It's no surprise that there are ocelli, which are almost universally present in almost all families of Lepidoptera. Not all of them, but almost all of them. How they have so commonly formed. And it's a really cool specimen. The first male and female I showed you are already dead, sadly. But we're not out of the game yet. I have many cocoons and pupa left. And now I do hope to get the male within now in a few days, because I would love to breed this weird looking female. Just take a moment to appreciate it. Moths are such amazing creatures. We are so blessed to have a world full of such amazing, fascinating biodiversity. It's such a terrible tragedy that it goes ignored every day. Look at that, it's amazing. This creature is like a painting, it's like a piece of art. It wasn't even created by humans. Look at that. Wow.
A lot of these pupa are normal size and healthy. Let me put here a normal pupa. This is about the normal size of an Automeris IO pupa. It's about as big as my fingertip. But some of my pupa are ridiculously small. Like ridiculously small. This is a dwarf. And lately in captivity I seem to have a problem with producing too small specimens. I mean, look at this. Compare the normal size, the healthy pupa, compare it with the small one. And some of you are going to be saying, yeah, Bart, that's one male and one female. No. Male and female does not explain this extreme size difference. It's true that males are smaller than females, but not 1/3 of the size. This is extreme. So I have some dwarfies.
And then it hatched.
Now, as expected, it is a quite small specimen. Smaller than the parents were for sure. It also hatched from one of these smaller cocoons. Despite that, it is also a very unique and beautiful specimen. For a male it has a lot of brown in the forewings, 2 dark brown patches, 2 very compact eye spots, and overall it is one of the most pretty Automeris Io that I have seen. It's almost as if raising smaller specimens makes them more beautiful, because these color patterns have to fit on a smaller wing surface. Let's take it off the cocoon it's sitting on. By the way though, that's not its cocoon it's sitting on, it's the big cocoon of an atlas moth. Here, boom.
Do you see this Automeris Io? It's a dwarf specimen. This happens sometimes when the caterpillars are malnourished. Since I was breeding this species in winter, I had to resort to giving them plants that are less than optimal for their development, resulting in smaller individuals. In summer I usually don't have this problem, but winter makes this hobby much harder. Regardless, it was very interesting to show you.
Look at that, how small! This specimen is the smallest female of Automeris Io that I have ever seen in my life. Look at that, it's incredible. Look at those eye spots, it's completely different. It's completely different from any Automeris Io specimen that I have ever seen. Wow, look at that. It's probably a result of the fact that I was breeding them in winter on laurel cherry, which is not a very nutritious plant. That's an understatement. It's a terrible, dry, old plant that's not very recommended. But I guess the food scarcity resulted in this wonderfully cute small specimen here. Wow! That's actually incredible, you know that? Look how small it is. It's fascinating and beautiful. So cool! The good news is I also reared a few cocoons to normal size, so not all my Automeris Io will be dwarfs like this. At least I hope not. But simply checking the pupil size, I have a few that are just as big as the parents. This was just one of the smallest ones that I had. And oh my god, this is spectacular. This is really amazing. Time for the review. At the end of every MothCycles video, I do a review where we talk about the breeding and how it went. However, this video was different from my other MothCycles videos because I edited more to be a tutorial of how to breed a certain species. So my other 2 MothCycles video was basically me obtaining some eggs, vlogging the entire life cycle and the things I experienced along the way, and then finally looking at the mortality rate, etc. But the problem with this species was I was breeding multiple generations at the same time, and it was hard to keep track of it. So when I was finished, I was looking at all the videos I had saved in my Dropbox storage, and I noticed that I am not really sure. I didn't really keep track of the different bloodlines that I had, but I did have footage of the caterpillars going through every instar, etc. So I edited more like a video tutorial, MothCycles, how to breed Automeris Io, the Io moth. I hope you enjoyed it. But if I had to give myself a rating, Automeris Io to me is certainly an easy species to breed. It's important you give them a bit ventilation, but I didn't have a perfect result. Why? Well, let me show you. There was one problem. I lost some caterpillars to disease. I think it was a disease. Here, check it out. Yeah, that's quite sad, isn't it? Those caterpillars died. And the reason is also because I was breeding them in winter. In winter everything is more difficult. If you live in Europe, because of the frost, many good host plants like oak trees, sweet gum, willows, they drop their leaves. So then you're out of options of food. So I had to use the laurel cherry, the Prunus laurocerasus, to feed my caterpillars. Most grew well on it, but it's very dry and tough. In winter it's also not very nutritious and even slightly toxic. So some of the caterpillars seemed to struggle and died. Also in cold winter, the cold dries out the air, so the caterpillars had just really dry air. I had to spray them sometimes so they had something to drink. Because winter is really terrible. Therefore I'm going to give myself 7 out of 10. Why a 7 out of 10? Well, because we completed the whole life cycle, I showed you everything, but the mortality rate should have been a little bit better, so we need to improve that. I hope I will breed the species again in the future and make another video of them, because there are some nice other forms, such as the one from Florida, Automeris Lilith, that have orange adults, males, which are very cool looking. So I did run into some problems during this breeding. There's also the fact that I raised some dwarf specimens. Take a look at these. Yeah, you saw it in the video, right? That was also because of winter. In winter I had to feed them less nutritious plants. And malnourished caterpillars, when they make a cocoon, are way too small and result in dwarf adults. So that was also not very great. So that's why I gave myself a 7 out of 10. That's right. Ah, you're still watching. Hello everyone, and welcome to the e-bagging part of my video, which is the most boring and annoying part of my video that everybody hates to see, including me. I have one problem though. Let me show you what the problem is. Boom. Yep, that's right. YouTube does not support my YouTube channel. It is completely and permanently demonetized. That means that whenever I upload a video, I get exactly $0 for it in return. Which is okay, because for me YouTube is a passion project. I do it because I enjoy doing it. I enjoy talking about insects. I enjoy talking about nature. So I'm gonna go do it anyways, even if YouTube hates me. But it does make it easier if people financially contribute to my show. Of course, this is only for people who are willing and able to. But it helps, because the video that you just watched, it may not look like much, right? It may only get a few thousand views. But the production time for this video was 6 months. 6 months I have been filming, 6 months I have been editing, I've been breeding this insect, been vlogging the life cycle, been writing a script, editing, and finally the video is finished today. 6 months for nothing in return. So it does really help if my fans subscribe to my crowdfunding platform called Patreon, or use some of the other options. For example, there is, for single payments, there is PayPal, there is LiberaPay, and if you read the description below my video, you will find out more information. So yeah, and I aim high. My YouTube channel has grown a lot this year. I had a little bit of a breakthrough. I have more than 10,000 subscribers now. So the show is getting big. We're having a good movement here that promotes insects, that promotes the environment. I love it. It makes me very happy. And we also have a lot of more budget right now. So I'm going to make bigger, better and more awesome videos. That being said, I apologize for putting this reminder in each of my big videos. I understand that for my long-term subscribers it must be very annoying to hear me repeat this time after time after time. But if after every video I make there could be some new viewers watching who are not aware of the problem. And it sounds kind of pathetic, but my show runs on donations for 100%. That's true. So, and those allow me to have the free time to spend 6 months of my free time on making one video and stuff like that. I also want to say thank everybody who watches and follows me. I understand that not everybody is able to contribute financially. I would never expect that, okay? YouTube is a free platform. I love to spread a positive message for insects and show people how fascinating they are. So I hope I don't sound like an entitled YouTuber, but it is what it is. It's a little bit hard if you have a channel with 16,000 subscribers right now and you get zilch in return. And therefore I'm very thankful that Patreon and other crowdfunding stuff exists, because YouTube does not want honest, hardworking creators like me. They would rather have really stupid, idiotic vlogs or toxic content or people calling each other out or social justice warrior rants, complaining or clickbait. That's what YouTube really is about, not about people who make everything from scratch like me. But I'm starting to sound a little bit salty. Maybe I shouldn't complain, because I still have a lot more than most other people. So let's not play the victim. I'm also working on behind the scenes a lot of videos this year. It's not a brag. A lot of videos, okay? I'm serious, guys. But you have to be a little bit patient and please give me the time to finish them. They're going to be perfect. So therefore I can show you a preview. I always end MothCycles with a preview. And in the preview I will use clips of unreleased videos that I'm working on, so you can see, hey, this is stuff that's coming on my channel maybe later this year. If it all works out, of course. Hey, thank you guys for watching. See you later in the next episode of MothCycles.
And now some of the credits. As I've explained before, my channel is completely demonetized. It looks like YouTube doesn't want honest and hardworking content creators who promote science, knowledge and creativity. Instead, they prefer garbage clickbaits, incoherent SJW rants, idiotic vlogs, cringe-worthy pranks and terrible diss tracks. I am grateful that Patreon exists, otherwise many of these high-quality channels, even if that sounds like a brag, wouldn't have been possible. Therefore, let me mention in the credits all the wonderful people who have my back. You see, there's over 70 people supporting this channel right now, allowing me to grow and produce bigger and better content every day. Let their names not be forgotten, and thank you all, I love you. Bye bye.